Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spotlight with the Beauty Agent Network. And tonight we are featuring two fabulous, hardworking men in the industry, CoCre8, John Simpson and Christopher Dove. So welcome, you guys.
Hi there.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Chris.
Oh, hey, and I want to apologize for last week because I know that some of you guys were trying to get on and we just couldn't make it happen. I can't explain it. I'm not going to try to ever explain technology problems, but we ended up having to just kind of regroup at this point. But it looks like we're having success tonight, so that's good news.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so you guys have a great history and a great story. It looks like we're just kicking on now to Facebook Live, so I just am going to kind of let it run for just a second here before you start your story, because I always think the story is the most fascinating part of all of us, because listen, our talent is out there. The ability to see the work that you guys are doing, it's out there. But to be able to sometimes hear the story of how we all got started into beauty and the paths that we took and the evolutions that, that came before us, that's really where the interest is letting people get to know you a little bit. So I would love to hear a little bit of a background of both of you guys and then how you co-created together.
All right.
Can we go first?
Well.
In other words, he's saying age before beauty. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, and talk really loud for me too, you guys, okay?
So for me, getting into hair was my finding of being a creative kid. At school, I was not the best academic scholar, let's put it that way, and pretty much all my teachers would report at the end of the year that yes, another year of sketches in my history book, my English book, my maths book. So they knew that I was going to be creative. I obviously didn't know at that point how my creativity was going to get used, and I kind of got a fear of God put in me by my dad. We lived in a beach resort, and he kept saying, I can see you sitting on the beach drawing people's portraits for the rest of your life, and you're never going to have your own place, and we're never going to get rid of you, So I kind of, that was my fear. And I think for a lot of creative kids, that's part of growing up. You just don't realize. A teacher at school, though, kind of turned things around for me. I think I was about 12 or 13, and it was a French teacher who brought in, one day she said, put your French books away. She goes, we're going to have some fun today. So she got out all these face paints and she showed us theater makeup. So how to make someone look old, how to make someone look sad, kind of like it just took us through the fundamentals and then let us loose on each other. We coupled up and kind of did this face makeup. She goes, did you have fun? And we said, yes. And she goes, well, I just wanted to do this today. So the ones of you who are creative in the room realize that being creative has the same value as being academic. And the people in this world get paid for doing exactly what you've just done today. And it was a huge turning point for me, realizing that being creative can be very useful and has a use in the world. So, I crept into my parents' room, woke my mum up without waking my dad up, because I knew that would be, he would rake me over the coals completely for doing this dumb thing to my own hair. And my mum then put me over the shower, the bathtub, and used peroxide and shampoo together, and peroxide shampooed my hair, which meant that now I had bright orange hair and bright yellow highlights. Next morning,
we've all been down there, haven't we?
Oh my God, yeah. So, I mean, you can have empathy for the clients that do stuff themselves, because, if you've done it yourself, then you know. The next day, my dad kind of just went crazy at me and said, I can't believe what an idiot you are. And he kind of handed me some money and said, go get it fixed. So I didn't know what I was going to do. The only hairdresser that I knew as a kid was the one that cut my hair. So I ended up going to this little salon, and the hairdresser said that she could help me if I didn't mind waiting the whole day. And she'd fit me in between the clients and try and get my hair back to a normal color. So at the end of the day, I realized then that's how I was going to use my creativity, because what I'd watched the whole day was people coming in, being recreated, being the hairdresser's creativity painted the hair. She used like architecture to kind of cut the hair. And, you know, this whole kind of light bulb went up for me. So I returned back home with my normal colored hair, just this dishwater blonde. And I kind of revealed to my parents that I now knew what I wanted to do when I left school. I wanted to be a hairdresser. Well, my dad really, I mean, I can't say online what he actually said, but there were swear words in there, and that no son of his was going to be a limp wrist hairdresser, blah, 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 blah. And my mum said, leave him with me, and, you know, we'll get it sorted out. And luckily, my mum kind of like was a driving force for me becoming a hairdresser.
Oh, I love that.
No, really. I mean, you know, I know that I wouldn't have done it without her. And also, she was the one who saw more in me than I could see in myself.
Right.
I always used to say, sing out, Louise. So it was like that scene out of Gypsy where Gypsy's mum is kind of pushing her forward all the time and everything. But, you know, she was a driving force without a doubt.
Yeah. And I mean, you grew up in England, and, you know, it seemed like it was more of a self-respected career there. But, you know, we all still had those stories of our parents thinking that this was not going to be a, you know, a booming career for us.
You know, the funny thing is that years later, my parents got separated, they were divorced, and I went to see my dad when I know I was coming over to America. I had a feeling that I may never see him again. And I just wanted to get some things resolved, which I think is always good in life, is to kind of like get things finalized, get things resolved, and, you know that you're clear to move forward rather than having something heavy laying, you know, over you. So traveled up to where he was living, and at the end of kind of a really emotional kind of get together, he gave me a huge hug and said that he'd actually saved every paper clip in every magazine article of the competitions that I'd won, the shows that I'd done, and that he was really, really proud of me, which meant a lot because, you know, the final words he ever said to me is that he's really proud of me, you know.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, you know, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the stories, and just know that even if at the moment, especially to young hairdressers, they kind of feel like they're, you know, really not going as smoothly as you thought they were going to go, or not going in the direction that you dreamt they would, that you have to stay with it, and you have to be committed, and that you really have to know that if you are that creative being, then that will always be utilized. It will always come into your life in some way. You've just got to give time. You know, you've got to give time and effort, and you've got to put work into it. It's not just something that gets given to you. You've got to really kind of like drive yourself, push yourself, and be the best you can be. And if you can say that you're the best you can be, then you can't say any better than that. You tried your hardest, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, I'm glad that you had that experience, though, and that in the end, you know, there's that pride in what we did, because you really did have a phenomenal career, and you still do, you know, in hairdressing. So thank you.
I mean, but, you know how fortunate you are when you look back and you see how blessed you've been your whole life, and great opportunities and great kind of like experiences, and literally traveling the world with your work. I mean, who could ask for better than that?
No, it's an unbelievable honor and opportunity.
It really is.
That's great. Well, good. Thank you, Christopher. All right, John, I am ready to hear your story.
Different story. You know, it's not a stereotype, but I'm that person that I was always, well, let me backpedal. I was always driven because I'm the oldest in an Italian Catholic / Irish family, right? So I was meant to go to college. I was meant to marry, have kids, you know, and with that I married, and we have doggies. So, you know, I definitely, you know, I was a little offbeat, I guess, into the academics, but art was always a passion. You know, mom was an artist, and she had a comic book strip in the local paper.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it was awesome that she gave it up, because my grandfather he wasn't a tyrant, but he was always pushing her to be the best. And she gave it up at a young age, which she could have had major success. But the art really went along with it. So it was a big piece of mine. So I did that maybe on the side, really. You know, I took advanced art classes. So I always still pushed myself to be the best. I loved it, but I still loved academics. Because, you know, I really am a little dorky. I need to know why and how things work. That's just how I'm wired. I try to be so free and easy, but I'm not. I'm really not. Like, I need to understand why. Because otherwise, like, some things just exhaust me. And it's
not I get that.
Better. I'm like, oh, that's so draining. Like, that's magic. Oh, so pretty. But okay, why? Tell me why. So,
and there are people out there that have that incredible creative side that they don't have to ask the questions.
Right.
I think I'm definitely more like you, John, where I have to ask the questions because the creative is not enough for me. So that's awesome that you recognize that.
Yeah, and you know, and thanks. It's just that was me at a young age. So I drove my family a little bonkers. I really did, because they didn't understand me, but also I didn't necessarily understand them. Like, I come from a great, loving family, don't get me wrong. But I mean, you know, it was sort of the middle, you know, kind of proper Italian meets the Irish side. And they were a little redneck and true. So I was just this real offbeat, awkwardly tall against everyone else, kind of weirdo to them.
I'm still convinced as a kid in Pittsburgh somewhere in a family of tall, all the rest of them are tall, and there's this little short one there, and they're like, where did you come from? Because he's nothing like the rest of his family at all.
You know, it really
could be another story there, huh?
Yeah, really. The first time he walks into the family, you know, loud Italian Christmas, and he's like, okay, so like, is this the family? And I'm like, yeah. So you know, I just think, you know, with them, it's, you know, it was always love, and that was amazing. But I did, you know, I worked my way through school. I was college bound. And I remember that night, it was probably 2 weeks before graduation of high school. And it was this whole thing of, I told my mother, finally, you know, I was sick to my stomach. What do you say if I don't want to go to college? And she's like, well, what do you want to do? Hair. And I'm like, how did you know? Because it wasn't like I was this natural talent or anything. She just connected it to it. Because my great aunt, I went with my grandmother, and I loved the smell of setting lotion. I loved when Aunt Flo did a perm. Like, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know? And an Italian woman that has like Clairol flame orange hair, I was in love. So there was that. So I decided to go, and I went right into beauty college. But I really fast tracked it. And I went to a college called Pittsburgh Beauty Academy. And it was really prestigious at the time, because you walked out of there with an associate's degree in cosmetology and business management. And I kind of did, you know, because I was an overachiever, I went all the way. I connected to hair color because I still understood. I needed to know why and how things work, but then I were able to work my magic. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and it was never something that I was wasting my life, or, you know, I never had any hang up. They were like, just do what you need to do. And I did. And even though they didn't understand, I still think that my family thought I was going on vacation every week when I was traveling on the road. But, you know, hey, whatever. So,
a bit like the clients.
Yeah.
After, you know, I mean, Bonnie, you know what it's like at the trade shows, and it's like nonstop from the moment you get there to the moment you leave, and then you've got the flight going, the flight coming back, the whole thing, schlepping all your cases and bags. And then you get back the next morning into the salon, and the first thing that hits you is, did you have a nice vacation?
Yeah.
Right. Those are long, exhausting days in that, you know, traveling on the road. And because we do all of our seminars and events and shows in this industry on Sunday and Monday when we have days off, unlike other industries, by the way, they still do things during the week, like Monday through Friday. But no, the beauty industry had to take on Sundays and Mondays. So then we're working 7 days a week for months.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Then they wonder why you give them the look. Did you have a nice vacation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See. Yeah, that's great, John. So you guys both have a history of working for some major manufacturers and traveling the world and doing amazing work and educating thousands and thousands and thousands of hairstylists out there. And then all of a sudden one day you kind of like meet each other, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My history was 27 years with Weller, both in England and continuing then in America. And remembering back to the beginning of the Weller days in America, it was nothing like how it was in England, because I think it only just kind of come over and was making a mark. So
yeah.
The first trade show I went to that had Weller products had just one table, had a backdrop that was the pipe and drape type thing, and then they had Christmas lights around it with the Weller thing. And so if you think of where it came from, over 20 years ago to where it is today, the company is definitely expanded and gone massive. I mean, it's a global company. So, lots of experiences, lots of changes, as with any industry, you're going to get changes. And I think a big part of really the dynamics of where things have really shifted the most is that moment in time when everyone was buying everybody else out, and acquiring different manufacturers, making a portfolio of a color line, a professional color line, a perfume line, they had to do everything. And I think it's kind of continued. It seemed to have diluted down over the last couple of years. It's not as extreme as it was, but I think one of the big shifts was a lot of the big corporations buying up smaller corporations.
Yeah.
And then the big corporations buying big corporations and almost getting too big,
Yes,
So,
yes. But Christopher, that was my light bulb moment to start the Beauty Agent Network, because there was so many displaced, amazing, talented hairdressers that didn't have a home anymore. They didn't have that, that brand to call their home anymore. And they were all calling me going, Bonnie, help, can you get me booked? Figure out how to get me booked. So that was kind of my light bulb moment. So sometimes things happen and they work out, and we're still in an evolution though.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see where things kind of eventually go, because it almost seems like, alongside that, the Insta star, the Insta hairdresser, has also kind of like taken its place in, how many followers do you have versus what can you do?
Or where have you been trained, or who have you trained?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there is that going on, and it's quite the evolution. Now, John, you have a background with Goldwell for many years.
That's right. Yes, and different because I was with Goldwell for about 22 years. And, I was a young kid that joined in the Goldwell USA. They opened up they were building after they opened up an academy in Baltimore. And I was like, they approached me and I'm like, I'm good. And it was something that the salon owner at the time and our sales associate, they told me that I was going to a Goldwell educational event, and it ended up to be a Goldwell education certification.
Oh, yeah. Surprise!
Yeah, surprise. But it was my thing that, part of that training at the time, I mean, this is going back, again, 22 years. It was, how many times do you not stumble in your presentation with the but-ums? Yeah. So I was good on that. And then I also understood how to properly put together a program, how to put together a start to finish. So the criteria, they were really excited, and it just sort of went wildfire from there. And so as this team was building, we started doing shows. I was sort of the whole gamut. I was in the back doing makeup, then presenting, etc. And it was really something I always loved, education, period. I did. And that Goldwell time, it was really so special because I love the brand. I do. Yeah, I mean, I still do, of course. I can't be mad at it because you became part of something that you helped create what it is. And I mean, I grow from a starting team to then, their lead artistic director globally, that you're putting together all of these things. And the team that was built both nationally and internationally, as well as what the brand was, I was a big piece of just being a part of what that brand is now, which is, that's major.
And so, we all had some history in the growth of those brands when they were at their finest, when they were at their best, when they were, you know, the level of commitment that we had for them and that they had for the industry was amazing.
Well, and you know, it really is amazing because, you know, I was that guy because I was able to really accommodate every single thing that I needed, who I am as me, right? I had the creative, but then I put together the why and the how to make other people have success behind their chair, you know? And, you know, it's great because we're able to tie that together now, but it really accommodated all of my needs because you know, I mean, when I was with Goldwell, I was the job. You know, I really was because it was my career. I was so close to it. You know, and that's not a boohoo. That's not sad. You know, like, oh, I was so bad. It's just what it was. You know, I mean,
it changes. Hey, I want to do a shout out to some people watching us right now because we've got some good followers here. We have Sheila Wooten. Woohoo, Sheila. Thank you for joining us. And Jeff Sowell and Marcia. Sosho and Patrick Steadyhand, Brian Grieve, Robert Chromians. Hey, Robert.
Hey,
thanks
Robert.
for jumping in. And Liz Daniels. These are just some of the people that are showing up right now. So big shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining us and jumping on the spotlight with us tonight. And we just got through some of the stories here of these fabulous guys. I mean, two of the hardest working guys in the industry. And we're getting to the good part here though, because you guys kind of like somehow came together and created CoCre8 and now you have an academy and you're still traveling around doing education, but you're doing it together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think when we actually met, we both experienced enough in life to know who we were as individuals.
Yes.
Right. And that's a key thing. I'd actually, you know, I'm not going to kind of go into details, but, you know, I just went through a 5-year relationship that ended up really badly. And that had a profound effect on my life because, you know, you kind of think you're in something that's solid and yet you find out that every single part of that is not solid. So I kind of, after experiencing what I experienced with that, which none of it was good, and I found myself in the lowest place that I've ever been in my life. So anyone that ever kind of like talks to you about any kind of, you know, depression or any kind of, you know, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I always, you know, before in the past, I used to look at it as being like, you just can't take it. Do you know what I mean? Or you're a moaner or you're a boohoo, you know? And after going through it yourself, you really realize that it's so true. I mean, you know, you can find yourself at that low, even though everything else is great in your life, you can find yourself in that low point where you can even be thinking about doing some dumb stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so now I have great empathy. And when I see that someone's sad or see that someone's really down and low, I actually, you know, want to give them a hug and do give them a hug. I usually say I'm a hugger. I want to give you a hug. Even clients that come in, you know, it could be a first-time client. I like to greet them with a hug just so they know that there's a closeness there, that they're in a place that's kind of safe, you know. And actually sharing your story as well often helps a lot of times with other people because you find that when you share your story, other people open up and they can relate in so many ways. So many people go through some really bad stuff in their life that other people have got no idea and really don't care either, if you know what I mean. So when you discover how strong you can be, it's a revelation. And I was in a place that I'd actually just found my strength. I'd kind of pulled myself out of this darkness that was going on in my life and realized I had to take control. And that the biggest thing for me, and, you know, this is kind of late on in life, it's about 50, you know, I'm kind of like going, you have choices. You actually have choices. And the choice that you make is yours to make, not for somebody else. You're not doing it because, you know, somebody else thinks you should do that or this should be the way. It's, you know, ever since we're kids, we're taught you should do this, you should do that. And really and truthfully, it's your choice. So I made the choice to start a new life. I kind of moved home. It had too many bad memories. Redecorated the house, got it all together. And then at the end of all that, thought I'm going to give myself a week's vacation. And it was my first vacation really on my own, you know, ever. Day one of the vacation, I sat in this beautiful hotel in Miami by the pool with a cocktail, which sounds like an ideal dream, feeling miserable as hell. So I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, I'm like on my own.
It sounded like a good idea, but then you're alone. You're thinking,
yeah. So I put a post on Facebook, you know, found myself in paradise, but kind of lost in paradise or something like that. And actually the lady that we're working with now, Shelton and Linda Ogle, who are here in Texas, and we're working for the company, she actually called me, and we hadn't probably spoken for about a year. And she goes, so, you know, I saw your post and just wondering, you know, what's going on. So I told her everything that was going on. She's like, if I were you, I wouldn't go home today, because I told her I want to go home. I'm just going to go back to LA, and why am I bothering doing this? She said, give yourself 2 or 3 days, and, you know, just relax, just try and relax. Give yourself that, because you've gone through a lot. You need this time. So anyway, day 3 of the vacation, I'm walking on the beach, and in the very close vicinity, see a face I recognize and know that he's seen my face too. And it's Mr. John Simpson, who is Goldwell's creative director, as I am Weller's creative director. And as you know, Bonnie, when it comes to kind of like manufacturers mixing with other manufacturers, it's a bit of a no-no, if you know what I mean. So like backstage at shows and things, whenever we kind of had any passing, you know, as Weller was going on and Goldwell was coming off, or vice versa, it was always some kind of like little smarmy comment. Like I once said to John, he had these bright red shoes on. Weller team was walking on backstage, and Goldwell was waiting to go on for their final bow kind of thing. And I went up to him and said, Dorothy, why don't you click your heels 3 times in those red shoes and go back to Kansas? And then he said, really? What did you say to me?
That's really sweet. That's really sweet. But look, don't come for me unless I call for you, mister. But have a good show.
And that's the only kind of interaction we've ever had at a hair event or a hair show. So to be face to face on the beach with someone that you know has just seen you, so you can't kind of go, oh, you know, and disappear, which you kind of, I don't know why I felt like doing that, you know, but it's a weird thing. Anyway, just, I kind of pulled my inner thoughts together and kind of thought, hey, human being, just interact. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds fundamental, but just let go of anything outside of that. And that was really the beginning of us finding out who each other was. You know, we sat and had coffee, then we had, you know, some drinks, and we had dinner, and, you know, it carried on into the next day. You know, you were leaving the next day.
That's right.
Yeah. So do you want to jump in there, or?
Yeah, jump on in, John.
I'm like, yeah. It's I was in between shows, and instead of going back, the salon they didn't schedule. There was a cancellation on the road, and they never opened up the salon time. So I was going, and I had no time for myself. So I'm like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I'm just going to go and be. And it just so happened that I booked myself for a couple of days in Miami, because I wanted to be alone, you know, and that was amazing. It was really good. And then, you know, I had to just go to, when Chris says that, you know, he sees me, you know, in the whole visual of it, you know, he is doing Christopher Dove full, right? He's in a fabulous beach outfit. It's all and I'm coming off the beach with, you know, sand in my hair, tanning lotion, my curls are gnarly. You know, I think I look amazing, like Carmen Electra in slow motion. And that's kind of how we meet. Yeah. So it was.
Did either one of you in this moment, though, think something more?
No.
Or was it just like industry, you know, I mean, I could say that. I mean, Jeff and I shared our story on Thursday on my radio show, and it was just kind of like, you know, Steve Reese introducing us. Hey, this is Bonnie, this is Jeff. Yeah, nice to meet you, you know. But so it wasn't love at first sight, huh?
Well, it was, I'll fast forward a little bit, right? I decided, obviously, I had decided to stay on my vacation. John left the next day, you know, I think that was Thursday. This all happened in August, which is the 8th month. So remember the 8 with CoCre8. It has kind of a connection. So I'm packing my bags the night before I'm going to leave, because I don't leave it till last minute. I always kind of like to make sure I've got everything packed, and usually I have to go out and buy another piece of luggage because I've done some shopping whilst I've been on vacation, you know. So I was just checking to see how everything fit, and as I'm packing, there's a knock on the bedroom door, and I'm thinking, oh, it's the lady to turn down the sheets and put the little chocolate on there, but actually it was someone from the hotel with a cart that had a bottle of champagne, 2 glasses, orchids and macaroons on there with a little card. So she wheeled it in, I opened the card, and it said, been thinking of you, I hope you had a great vacation, and I'd like you to enjoy the champagne and macaroons with whoever you like on your last day of vacation.
Yeah.
With whomever you like on your last day of vacation. So I'm immediately on the phone and sort of calling him, and just, you know, I just thought it was the sweetest thing and the nicest. It's kind of something that I felt like I would do myself, if you know what I mean, and not many people in the world would do that, you know, give it the thought or the care or have the heart. And that really kind of like started off, I think it kick-started everything in a way that, you know, I knew that I was interested, he knew he was interested.
Yeah.
But we also knew that he lived in Pittsburgh, I lived in California, he worked for Goldwell, I worked for Weller. For anyone that doesn't know that, Weller and Goldwell are not particularly the best of friends, because they're both kind of like big in the industry.
Yeah, and they're both, you know, they both are trying to capture that same color, you know, client. Yeah.
So we kind of, from that point onwards, we knew that things were not going to be easy, let's put it that way. And it kind of proved to be right, I think, don't you think?
Yeah, but there was no denying the fact that besides, you know, the sweet and the honest gestures, there was something, because we met that night as people. You know, before dinner and happy, because it wasn't just about, we weren't work gossip or just being cranks, you know, we were speaking about us, and, you know, it was about us as individuals, its stories, and, you know, where we were. So I think that was the connection, because it wasn't about, you know, what we did as our career. We knew that already.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not going to sit there and be like, well, you know, I think that stroke la 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 is just like, I mean, we didn't care. Like, that's not what it was about. So, yeah,
we had the opportunity to actually interact as 2 human beings in a setting outside of the usual and the norm for us, because you know what the life's like. You're in the salon or you're on the road. You're in the salon or you're on the road. You're doing education, you're doing shows, you know. So it was nice just to be, and just to be as 2 human beings, you know. And I think that's where the spark kind of got ignited, and never knowing really anybody else's way of thinking. You know, when that knock came on the door for me, it kind of told me that it was something more than, you know, just a hi and a bye kind of thing, you know. And we kind of arranged to meet again, and we spent a couple of days together and got to know each other more.
Yeah.
And after actually experiencing that time together, I think both of us knew, you know. But then, of course, the roller coaster of life kind of took us between September and December. Was like, it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off, you know, for many, many reasons.
Yeah, long distance relationships are definitely not easy. And, you know, when you are in similar but different capacities, that makes it hard too. But you guys made it work. You certainly made it work. And
well, ultimately, we kind of like, after agreeing to not be together, the 2 of us hugged it out for an hour and cried our eyes out, both of us. And like, this has been very vulnerable and letting people know, you know, the big softies that we both are. But we literally held each other for an hour and just cried our eyes out, because we had agreed that that was it. It was, you know, there's no way of working things out. And then I kind of pulled back and just looked at him and said, what if? And he said, what if what? And I said, what if we make whatever happen happen. You know, you're a creative and intelligent person. I'm a creative and intelligent person. Surely between the two of us, we can kind of like work something out, you know, which we both knew at that moment in time was going to mean, you know, us both making sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
right.
through the mutual kind of agreement of the sacrifices that we were going to make for each other, that's how we found a way to actually be together. So by December of that same year, after meeting in August, John moved over to LA and we were together. And really the plan was, you know, that I'd stepped away from my position, which was a biggie after 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to travel with John and be kind of like his support system, you know, and we're able to then be together because looking at the calendar originally, for the next 4 months, we'd have 3 days that we'd literally see each other with his schedule and my schedule, which wouldn't really work for a new relationship. And we knew that.
Yeah.
So that's that's the agreement that we made. And for me, it was really difficult because I'd always been the support system for other people in my life. So to kind of take a step back and let somebody else kind of take care of me in a way really took a lot. I mean, it took a lot of faith and it took love, but primarily love. You know, the love that I felt for him, I knew that this was the right thing to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a time that, you know, it was you know, being on the road for 3 and 4 months, that's not a complaint. It's just what life was in the schedule. Mm-hmm. And it was the only way. So for Christopher to be there and us to be together, you know, that was how we decided as an answer. And what's interesting is a lot of people think of our education brand CoCre8, that's how like we had some huge masterminded plan, and that wasn't at all. You know, we were together because what was happening is if we would go out to the theater, if we went out to grab dinner, you know, like you had your sort of, because we weren't out yet as a couple. And, you know, it was very under the radar. But people started seeing us and, you know, then they're questioning and, you know, and I'm like, well, it's what it is. So it was interesting because a lot of in that early time, of us became sort of like the People magazine National Enquirer version of our lives. And I'm like, well, I'm so glad you think that what we're doing is interesting, but you know, wow. It's, you know,
well, it was something exciting in the industry. Come on.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah. We have a celebrity.
Oh yeah, Jonathan.
Jonathan is our celebrity.
I'm not kidding you. One of the online magazines, you know, kind of, that we're at an event and then, oh my God, it's Jonathan, you know, and we're looking behind going, who's Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, it really,
it was like, that's what we've named.
Yeah, but I mean, really, we've had like Dubson. I mean, we've had so many things, and like, it was interesting. It makes you giggle a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to lie, but it's really something that it was. And yes, it was a big thing in the industry. And we decided it was Christmas of 2014 that we're like, you know, we can't have this, like, we can't be at a show and pretend we're not together. Like, it's just weird. And then, you know, the stories afterwards, like, I knew you were together. I remember you passed him. And I'm like, because I wanted a drink. Like, that's what it was.
And they were talking about years and years before.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, lots of stories. That's the National Enquirer, not the People version. Yeah. But it's interesting because it's based on who we were, right? We knew we loved one another. We knew we were going to go forward. But also we knew that I think that we knew that we were ruffling feathers, you know, because it was our decision to be together, and it wasn't some sort of corporate thing or political thing. It was us as a relationship, and also we knew that it would stir things up a little bit. So, you know, and it did definitely.
Well, we stepped into it honestly and truthfully it was pure love. I mean, really and truthfully, just from a place of pure love. And then, you know, I think the roller coaster kind of began when, you know, some of the decisions that are made that aren't your decisions are made for you. And then, you know, unfairly, And like, I don't think I've ever seen John as kind of broken up as I did on the day that, him and Goldwell kind of parted, because it wasn't really in a way that was fair on a human level. And, there was no real reason for it to be that way. But yet the kind of things that were kind of told afterwards were it was John's decision and John decided to leave and da, 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 da. So, like from the standpoint of loving a person and kind of feeling the hurt, I do know that his heart and soul was with that company and loved being with that company.
Yeah. Well, you guys both had 20-something years in both of these companies that you represented. So, you got 50+ years together here in experience and love to be able to kind of create your own. And I know that's what you guys are about. And some of the work that you do, some of the work that I see, the way that you educate, I mean, that's a phenomenal love story in itself as well, for the two of you guys to come together and be able to be this type of education for our industry and have access to it.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's the difference now, is we need access to really great educators, not just because we're buying their product.
Well, that's one of the things for us is like, we just kind of took a step back at that moment in time, knowing that our strength is in education and our passion is in education and everything that we've done in our lives has been for education. We decided that, combined talents of the two of us and our different ways of looking at things and the way that we merge that together and blend it together and basically co-create something together. That was the kind of beginning for us of really what we could then kind of step into together.
Yeah. I'm gonna share the screen real quick because I just want people. I mean, I know people I think are familiar with your work, but I'm gonna just pull up this Academy page so that people can just kind of get a feel of this is the type of work that they do. This is the quality of work that is coming from CoCre8, and I think it's beautiful, and certainly there is that that high level of artistic, especially, between the cutting and the coloring. And I think it's admirable. I think you guys are phenomenal as, talent, as hairdressers, as educators. And certainly you deserve a spot out there to just continue to keep building a new story, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, it's, there was never a question of not doing the hair or not continuing the education. It's just how. And, with us two co-creating together, and we wanting to co-create with other hairdressers, whether it's an individual hairdresser, whether it's a team of hairdressers, whether it's in salon, whether it's in, with a manufacturer, because, even though we are, a non kind of product branded company, we still co-create with companies. We create education for companies, we create photographic work, and it's something that we love to do because it's sharing with other hairdressers, and that's what it's about. It's not about shining like a bright star. It's like, and I think, unfortunately, that it can go to a lot of people's heads when you become kind of like a famous hairdresser, and unfortunately, I think what can happen then is, then you lose who you really are in your heart, in your soul, and what you're about. And I think what we're about, and we both know this, is we love the connectivity with other hairdressers. We love it when that light bulb goes off.
Totally.
You're teaching a class and you're showing a technique and you get that someone's really got it.
Yeah, I love that.
It gives you joy. It really gives you joy because you know that what you're sharing then is something that people can use and you can take back to the salon, use on the clients, and it's a multifaceted win for everybody. But
well, and the win too for you guys is that you're doing academy classes at a very affordable rate for people to participate in the high level of education that you're offering. You're working with manufacturers to be able to create looks that they want that high level talent, but it's not about the educational element. It's being able to give them the imagery that they need. And then of course you're right in between, at being able to be at hair shows. So, the mass of us can still touch you and experience the type of education that you guys are offering. And that's hard to find today.
Yeah.
You know, people are either kind of like one way or the other, or they're ultra exclusive. And we need access to the type of education that you guys offer.
No, and thank you. It's what's mind blowing is, you know, besides our backgrounds, that's great. And, you know, we love people that have been followers and have had great success, because that's what it's about, you know. And I think we found early on with one another that, you know, we do come to what we bring to the party are completely different things that unite as one. Right. Mm-hmm. We realized very early on that neither one of us is the right way, because that we tried that and that really
that's not going to work.
It's like, oh yeah. So, you know, it's we found that it's true that it is our methods. It was what we call them. Our methods really are a collaboration of both of our emotion, our styles, the way that we're wired, and that's what's cool. So people that have known our education are blown away because it's new education to them, because it's still our same passion of what we do, but there's a new message, you know. Well, right, you know, because now these people that have had success in growing their business menu, of understanding that it doesn't always have to be an extreme makeover, you know, because just because mermacorn hair has been popular, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to do it, but there is a really special twist of how can you make something really cool, but also salon day functional for a stylist that sees, you know, 15 plus 20 plus 25 people a day. You know, I think there's that. And now the new people that have attended our academy programs or are on the road education are like, what just happened? Because they've not had all of the details of telling the story, of understanding the why, the how, and of course then the wow, you know. So I think one of the huge compliments that just recently happened is we were preparing our new collection, and people were guessing that we're just getting pics and things, and they're like, oh, that's Christopher's work. Oh, that's John's work. And it ended up that they were like, out of 6, they got none right. So because
interesting.
Because that wasn't us even prompting it, but whenever that was told back to us, that was really strong, because it wasn't that, you know, I do one thing, he does one thing. It was completely different. So, you know, I think that it just naturally evolved, that it's even started to happen and take our work and our craft further. We've picked up nuances of each other's talents and started to hybrid them of our own.
Yeah, well, listen, when I showed the pictures, everybody said they love it. It's stunning, beautiful, fantastic, great philosophy. And we got a whole lot more people watching us at this point too. So there's some good stuff happening here. So so the pictures I showed were on their Academy website. So CoCre8.com, right? Is that the website?
CoCre8.biz.
.biz. And you have some Academy classes coming up, and your Academy is located just right outside of Dallas, right?
Yes, that's
so
right.
It's a good central location for anybody in the United States of America and Canada to be able to get to.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, one of the benefits of being where we are is that, you know, it's so accessible from the New York side and from the LA side. So, you know, you're kind of like in the center there, where you know, you can be a couple of hours. Yeah, a couple of hours flight, and you're in the Dallas metroplex.
I think you can get to Dallas. It's always 2 hours 20 minutes.
2 hours, 2.5 hours from anywhere.
Exactly.
On a plane, 2.5 hours. So tell us about this Academy course that I know you got a few planned for this year, but what's the one that's coming up?
The first one coming up is the Art of Razor Cutting and Hair Color Movement. And what that is it's been a staple umbrella for us since the beginning. Now, it is razor cutting, and it's not just one haircut and then you're done. Like, it really masters the art of how can you tie together the creative side as well as the discipline side of razor cutting and understanding it. And then you twist it together with color movement, because whenever you're working on different texture and different graphic lines, there is a special twist, excuse me, of understanding, of course, a technique, but understanding even further of how do you accommodate it? What are you creating for the volume, the weight control, the mass, and of course, then the vibrant pops of color. So it goes deep into not only technical, but also theories of hair color. And that's the first one coming up in April. It's April 7th, 8th. Yep.
April 7th and 8th. And what's the cost for people to participate in that program?
So what we've started this year is you can take both days, right? Or you can take a one-day program, and both days price out at $500. So, I mean, that's
good.
Blowing, you know. And then of course, if you just want a single day, let's say that, because the first day is cutting focus. If, okay, you know what, I really just want to understand the cut, and maybe I can't do day 2, the hair color. So it's $250. But also what's really great is that in the next cycle, you can come and take the hair color segment. Like, so what happens in the calendar year that, you know, a person can see, you know, what's happening into the next step, you know, what is the shift of the hair color movement. So you can take one, the other, or both.
Oh, I think people need to take them both. Just invest in the both days if you're going to go down there, because the way that you guys marry the cut and the color is beautiful. I mean, you know, come on, we've all seen some of these pages, and I'm, you know, not to say that any one of these hairdressers isn't talented in what they're doing, but you know, when you have clean lines and you have color that works for the cut, that's a skill set. That's something that we don't naturally gravitate to, but we have to learn to be great at.
And I think one of the key things is we really make it about the method. So it's not a push on any particular line of color, or you have to use this certain lightener, or it won't work unless you use these tones. We do it so that, you know, anyone can use it with what they're using in the salon, in their own salon. So, you know, their own kind of color choices, and then using our patterns and our methods is a great way of melding the two worlds together, really, you know. So the education is method driven. You know.
So I'm gonna post the Academy link here on the Facebook page. But will you guys so what were the dates again, John, for that one?
For the Art of Razor Cutting and Color Movement, it's April 7th and 8th.
Okay.
And then one that John is really excited about is like creative corrections. So it's like basically how you can use creative methods to color correct rather than just, you know, And that one is going to be May 5th and 5th and 6th. Yeah. So that's fairly soon as well.
May is right. And just creative corrections is something that we tried it first on the road at different show events, and the class is always oversold. And what's great about creative corrections is it's not just about, look at this technique and this is going to be corrective, because I think, you know, personally, 85 to 90% of what you do behind the chair is corrective every single day. Yeah. So even if it's slight adjustments. So there's technique, there's method, and there's formulation of how to conquer the obstacles that you run into behind the chair every day, but being quick on your feet and not needing to spend upwards to 4 and 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's more than Band-Aids, you know.
Well, and I see on this site all the time that we're on right now, hairdresser to hairdresser, you know, questions pop up all the time with people dealing with, you know, color correction issues, and the client not happy and they're not sure how to fix it or what to do to make the client happy. So that would be a fantastic class for people that if you're serious about color, that's a foundation.
Yeah.
It's a super foundation. And then, so I just posted the CoCre8 lookandlearn.com/academy on the Facebook page, but you guys have some irons too, and we wanted to definitely show the irons because this is a incredible deal that you're offering to everybody that's watching and everybody that's going to view the video here. So tell us a little bit about your irons.
Thank you, Bonnie. And we just happen to have a set of irons.
Oh, perfect.
No, but this is, again, you know, this was our first baby. This was the thing that we kind of created together because both of us, I was always known for the cutting, even though I've always been a colorist and did probably more color than I did cutting. But you know how a company will brand you.
Yeah.
And was always known as the colorist, which, yes, he's very passionate about the color, but you know, he would do the cut and the color. And of course, both of us did styling. So the one common denominator we had from what everyone knew us for was really styling. And we thought if we kind of put together our favorites when it came to different styling tools, but made it so that it was in one kit. Again, for both of us being on the road and also knowing that in the salons, really space is very valuable. So inside our CoCre8 box, and if you want to hold that one, is our little bag of tools. So in this tiny little bag.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I know, yeah. And again, this is a brand new set, so everything's in wrappers. Yeah. You know, we've got 6 different heads, which are on the pictures here. So rather than me taking them all out in the little bags, we'll kind of show you.
Yeah.
Here. We've got
so they all have, it's one base, and then you put on each of the rods.
Yeah, one base, and then going from, you know, a spiral all the way through, you know, to a conical, to a bi-tube, and then to a clip, which is your classic. It kind of covers all bases.
Yeah.
Everything kind of creates different textures. We've done tutorials that are on YouTube and also connected through our CoCre8.
It'll drive you through CoCre8.biz.
So if you go CoCre8.biz, and then it will drive you through to the different tutorials.
Okay.
And what we're doing for our hairdressing friends, because primarily, you know, the toolkit could be retailed out to clients, but I think that really we designed it for hairdressers. Yeah. You know, originally the pricing for this kit was like $300, and for our hairdressing family, we are doing a killer $100, and you'll never ever see it any lower than that, because there's no way we could do it.
I can't get one good iron for $100, let alone all of this.
That's the point. I mean, you know, the kit is a complete kit, and you know, our passion is that everyone should have their hands on the best kit that they could possibly have.
Well, and your hands on the best tools in order to be the best hairdresser that you can be. We know that's a big part of it too. So they can go to the website, the CoCre8.biz, and that will then take them to the irons, and the price is already set up on your website, ready to go.
It's active in the link. And you could go through, like, I think CoCre8.biz has a lot of things to share. You know, of course, you'll find out more about us if you want, or you're like, I don't care. Go to Academy, it definitely takes you. But under the CoCre8 irons, you can see all of the tutorials, but in our shop, right? The shop is, because, you know, we love to shop. So you can go through, that takes you into even more details, not only about the classes coming up. And then it'll also show you in Academy, you know, kind of where we are, like on the road and upcoming events and things.
Yeah, and all right, so you guys purchased the irons. That's really a good deal that they're offering. So, and is that like an extended? You don't have like a timeline on this at this point?
No, I think we'll keep it extended. You know, again, we know it's hairdressers that are watching, and hairdressers are our family. So, I mean, for sure, let's keep it.
So it's extended. A family deal.
Yeah, family. Family. Yeah,
friends and family.
Friends and family deal here for all of these irons for $100. That's awesome. Okay, now we're all going to be in New York, so you guys have some classes, and they're kind of like a sprinkle of some of these classes that you have at your academy. So if somebody's going to be in New York and they just want to, like, you know, get a little taste of what this could be about, they can be at the IBS show in New York. You guys have some classes on Sunday and Monday.
We do. We have a Sunday class, and it's a little later in the day, like 3:45 to 5. And then,
so for those late starters on Sunday,
yes,
Saturday,
and then we have a Monday program from 12:15 to 1:30, and it's branded as our art of razor cutting and color movement, because it really is cut, color, and style. So you'll get a look and learn taste. It's only an hour and 15 minutes, something like this.
Yeah, so some good introductions to be able to do this, and then of course meet them in Dallas. And then I'll do a plug for myself too, because I've got some classes in New York as well. So I have a workshop, the Ultimate Marketing and Branding Workshop, and you will learn all the good stuff to be able to develop your own brand, like these guys have done. They have a fantastic brand called CoCre8, and then to be able to not only look at what your personal brand is, your business brand, but then how to be able to put it out there in the industry. So if you're an educator, maybe a suite rental, or a salon owner, this would be a great class for you to get. It's a 3-hour workshop class that we're doing. And then I have a complimentary one that is on the same day. These are both on Sunday. The #1 marketing tool to grow your business. And I'm going to give you a hint right now. It's exactly what we're doing. We are speaking. So there's your secrets, but come join me because I'm going to share with you how to be able to maximize your brand by being able to do some really great speaking. And then I'm hosting the social media network, and I'm telling you, I'm the host of it, but I'm always the student in that class as well, because social media still is one of those things that it's ever changing, it's ever evolving, but you got to be on it. Like what we're doing right now tonight. I mean, these are ways to be able to put your brand out there, take notice, and to be able to, of course, showcase the talent that our industry has to offer. So join us in New York for sure. Love to see you. I'll catch up with you guys. Academy dates in April and May, and then the irons for $100.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. That's a great offer and everything. What else do you want to share with our audiences before we wrap it up?
Well, I mean, I think to tie into what you were talking about, branding in a way, the little logo that we have here, which is it's like an infinity sign #8, which is, you know, the final of CoCre8. If I kind of turn this around and kind of explain where this kind of came from, you look at the bottom here, that's a J, and that's an S, John Simpson, and that's a C, and that's a D.
Oh, you guys are so clever.
So we actually came up with that ourselves. We didn't hire anyone to kind of come up with a branding for us or anything. We actually went through about 1,000 napkins on a long distance flight.
I still do the napkin thing. Some of the best ideas end up on napkins.
Yes. And we came up with it, you know, because the 8 did mean something for us. The 8th month was the month that we met in Miami. A year after that, we went back to Miami and we got married on the 8th month, and actually the 16th of the 8th to 8. So it started recurring as part of our, you know, our getting together and being together. So the 8 had to be included in there somewhere. And one of the first hashtags, actually, we did just a fun photo shoot together. You know, when we very first got together, we just decided, let's have some fun. Let's kind of like get some models and a makeup artist and a photographer and just kind of put some ideas together, you know, see what we come up with. And I think the hashtag that we used for the backstage stuff was CoCre8. You know, that's
really perfect. Now, see, you guys might think you're being all clever, but I think there's some destiny at play here.
Oh, big time.
See, no,
there's brains and beauty happening, of course, but I'm telling you, destiny's playing a role here, and I think it's a beautiful thing for the industry to be able to have you guys together and teaching together and uniting, you know, education and bringing it forth. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it. We had quite a few more people coming back on and making some great comments and loving on you. So check out the Facebook page and do some replying once we get off of here. And I know somebody had mentioned, you know, because it's in a group, so I can't share the video necessarily out of a group at this point while we're in it, but I am recording this and then I upload it onto YouTube, and it's going to be on their profile tomorrow. So if you go to the beautyagentnetwork.com and then click on talent, and then of course you'll see CoCre8 come up under the hair icon. This show will also be on their profile, so you can watch it from there, and it'll be on YouTube and you can share it off of YouTube. So it'll get shared out tomorrow from the video recording. So we can continue to keep all of this alive, keep destiny and love alive, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really truly all began with love, and it all is with love and passion. So I mean, how can you go wrong if you've got love and passion on your side? So you know,
can't.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop you. You guys, thank you so much for being such generous guests tonight and sharing everything. And I look forward to continue to work with you. And continue to showcase you out there so that everybody else can see how great you are too.
We appreciate you, Bonnie.
All right, everybody. Thanks, you guys. Have a good night. Jump onto the Beauty Agent Network if you want to find out more information about what we're doing, and jump onto CoCre8.biz to check out the dates that they have for education for 2019. And we will see you again next month with some more spotlights coming up. Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.